I am an 18-year-old female who grew up in Michigan and have lived in the country for as long as I can remember. This is a long story, so bear with me. On one particular hot summer weekend, my boyfriend, let's call him Tony, my older brother, let's call him Brad, and a couple of friends, including me, decided we were going to go camping for the weekend since it was such a nice warm week. Tony's parents owned a cabin way out in Ludington, surrounded by a huge wooded area with a personal lake and no neighbors for at least 4 miles. But being stupid teenagers, we didn't really think about that. All we were ready for was to party like any normal teens would. After being there for 2 hours, our fun had started. Tony's friends had brought tons of alcohol and weed to last us for the weekend so we wouldn't be bored since we had no service and only movies to watch. After it got around 12 a.m. and was pitch black, we had a huge bonfire going. It was a total of 6 people, including me and Tony. As we talked and laughed about upcoming events in our lives, we were so distracted that we didn't notice that my brother had literally frozen his eyes onto one section of the woods. Mind you, we were all intoxicated and high at that time. Eventually our talking ceased when Tony realized his friend and my brother had an emotionless expression. "Hey dude, you alright?" he asked Brad. Silence. Brad didn't reply or even make any movements that would indicate he heard him. After that, I started to get scared as well as the other 2 girls there. It took a lot for my brother to act that way. Eventually, I was the first to catch on that he was excessively staring into a certain spot in the woods. I turned my head and followed his gaze the best I could, and when I finally caught on to what he was staring at, my heart dropped. There, right there, was at first look a dog. At least that's what I thought. It was someone's dog that wandered off. But then my brain kicked in, and I realized there were no neighbors for miles. So how could there be a dog? My mind started to race while Tony still tried to get Brad to speak or even move. In one motion, this thing stood up tall, and when I say tall, I mean gigantic. It had to be at least 8 feet tall. Everyone saw it then. How could you not? The other 2 girls and the other boy with us gasped as they finally realized why my brother was still as a stick. No one moved for what seemed like 12 hours. Tony was the first to talk. "No, tail," he mumbled. No one heard what he said but Brad, and I swear to you when I say his eyes widened as big as pan saucers. That freaked me out immediately. "What did you say?" one of the girls asked. "It has no tail," he hissed at her. My heart stopped beating. He was right. There was no tail on this thing. Suddenly my clouded alcohol mind cleared up in a fraction of a second when I finally realized what this thing was. Now I understood why my brother was basically shitting his pants. This thing was a skinwalker. My instincts kicked in right then and there, but before I could nope the hell out of there, the thing let off a terrible stench like rotting meat before letting out an inhuman scream. The sound was enough to scare everyone. My brother was the first to get up from his chair and started shouting in our native language at the creature, while I told everyone to go get inside. No one questioned me when they saw just how dead serious I was, especially Tony. He had never seen me so scared before, so he knew it was a bad situation. We all hurried into the cabin with my brother still shouting native words at the creature, which seemed to keep it at bay while giving us enough time to get inside. He slammed and locked the door, turned off all the lights, and grabbed a special ash from the kitchen counter. He started throwing that ash at every window and door while chanting. Of course, he had everyone freaked out and basically in tears at that moment. After he was done, no one said a word for a long time. All of us were still in shock. He grabbed our dad's pistol and kept it close to him for hours. Everyone was too shaken up to even question what had happened. We must have eventually fallen asleep because I woke up to my brother packing all our stuff into 2 cars early in the morning. I understood why. We had native family, and we knew what we were dealing with, and we knew it would come back. Maybe not alone. Before we left, I did a blessing on the cabin and spoke a few calming words to the still very freaked out girls. We left as soon as everything was packed up, To this day, we still haven't explained exactly what had happened that night to our friends.